From the age of 18 to 28, I was with Julian for 10 years, but he never once mentioned marriage. On my 28th birthday, I broke up with him. Julian was on the phone, softly coaxing a younger girl from his university. Without even looking up, he said, "Whatever. 10 years of my life." He was so sure I wouldn't have the heart to leave. He just thought I was throwing a tantrum, that I'd come back when I was done. 3 years later, I returned to his family's home. Everyone thought I would continue to pester Julian. Even he avoided me like the plague. But when the news of my wedding spread, the proud young master of the Chin family cornered me in the attic. His voice trembled. "Let's get married. Right now." Okay. I never expected that upon returning to the country after 3 years, I would be in a minor car accident right after leaving the airport. The hospital lights were stark and blinding. I lay in the hospital bed, my phone on the side, showing several missed calls. Just as I was about to call back, it rang again. A man's low, magnetic voice came through. "Where are you hurt? Is it serious?" A warmth spread through my chest. I said gently, "It's not serious, just some scrapes." There was a moment of silence on the other end. "I'll be back tonight." I smiled. "If you come back now, are you planning to postpone the wedding?" He fell silent. Only after I repeatedly assured him that my injuries were minor did he stop insisting on coming back. After a few words of caution, he said, "I'm sorry you have to go through this. I'll make it up to you when I get back." After hanging up, I lay in the hospital bed, staring blankly at the slow drip of the four. Suddenly, I heard a familiar voice from the next bed. "Julian, it hurts." A gust of wind lifted the corner of the curtain. I glanced over. In the bed separated by a single curtain, Julian was holding a cotton swab, carefully pressing it on the needle mark on Maya's hand. His movements were clumsy and awkward. He was turned sideways to me. The light cast a shadow on his profile, making him look even more mature and charming. I hadn't seen him in 3 years. He didn't look much different from how I remembered. The only difference was a tenderness in his eyes that I had never seen before. The curtain was suddenly pulled back by a nurse doing her rounds. Bed 32. "Evelyn, has your family not arrived yet?" The previously rustling ward suddenly fell silent. I said softly, "My family can't make it." The nurse paused, her tone softening. "You're hurt like this. How can you be without someone to take care of you? You could hire a caregiver." I nodded, not saying anything else. The next bed was quiet. It wasn't until the nurse left that I heard Julian speak. "I'm stepping out. Don't wander off." As soon as he left, Maya peeked out from behind the curtain. Miss Evelyn." She seemed surprised to see me and timidly shrank back. I hummed in acknowledgement and closed my eyes, not intending to chat. But Maya walked through the curtain and stood by my bed, saying helplessly, "Miss Evelyn, we didn't know you were in the hospital too." So, I opened my eyes and cut her off. "He posted on his social media that he's getting married. It's with you, right?" Maya quickly shook her head. "You've misunderstood. He's your boyfriend." I didn't know if she was genuinely naive or just pretending. Everyone in our circle knew that Julian and I had a falling out. 3 years ago, I had proposed to him in a grand gesture. He had rejected me bluntly. "I'm a non-believer in marriage. Don't waste your time on me." I couldn't accept it. I had cried and thrown tantrums, but all I got in return was his disgust and contempt. He had even left me to go and pursue his junior from university. That day was my 28th birthday. I had waited outside the university like a stalker, watching Julian and another girl on a sweet date. The man who never ate sweets now had milk tea stains on his cuffs. Like a glaring verdict, I watched them flaunt their affection, oblivious to the world, my nails digging deep into my palms. I looked down at my wrist. The marks from the blade were still there, but they no longer hurt. In that moment, I realized that letting go wasn't so hard after all. He came back late that night. When I broke up with him, he was on the phone, softly coaxing the little junior. Without even looking up, he said, "Whatever." We hadn't spoken since that day, so he still didn't know that I was getting married. "Miss Evelyn. Actually, Julian and I." Before Maya could finish, Julian's voice came from outside the curtain. "Who are you talking to?" When his gaze fell on me, he stiffened. His handsome, thin lips pressed into a cold, straight line. We were old acquaintances. After all, I greeted him softly. "Long time no see." The next second, His stern expression vanished, replaced by his usual carefree and lazy demeanor. "When did you get back?" His tone was so familiar, as if we were old friends. "Today." He nodded, and with a long arm, he pulled Maya into his embrace. "You don't have to come to Maya and Maya's wedding. We've been preparing for a long time." I was stunned. A sourness spread through my heart. He thought I had come back to ruin his wedding. Of course. He had once told me he was a non-believer in marriage, and now he was marrying someone else. Given my past behavior, I would have definitely caused a scene at his wedding. But what he didn't know was that I had already accepted someone else's proposal. When he came back, we would be getting married too. Just as I was about to explain, I saw Julian whisper something in her ear, and Maya's face instantly turned bright red. She turned back to me. "Miss Evelyn, we're going to eat. Do you want us to bring you something back?" I politely declined. Maya thought for a moment. "Julian should know what you like to eat. We'll bring you a portion back later. She's a picky eater. She doesn't like to eat out. Don't bother with her." With that, Julian forcefully led Maya away. In the empty hospital room, I stared blankly at the ceiling. So he still remembered I was a picky eater. But my picky eating was a habit he had spoiled me into. When I was 8, my parents died. Julian's grandmother brought me home. Later, because her health was failing, she sent me to live with Julian's family, to keep him company. Julian's parents didn't care about him and were often away from home. Most of the time, it was just the two of us and the nanny. The nanny was a terrible cook. I would rather go hungry than eat her food. Julian, afraid I would get sick, started to learn how to cook. That year, he was 10. Whatever I wanted to eat, it would appear on the table the next day. When I grew up, I asked him, "What if I get married and my husband complains about my picky eating?" He had said with a half smile, "With me around, who else would you want to marry?" The scenes from the past felt like they had just happened yesterday. But now, all that was left was a cold, "Don't bother with her." "Miss Evelyn." Assistant Lynn pushed the door open. "Mr. Cheen has already arranged for a specialist for you. I will take you for a check. Up now." I nodded. "Thank you for your trouble." I paused. "Did he say when he would be back?" Assistant Lynn replied. "Mr. Cheen said that if you miss him, he can come back tonight." Not only did Christian arrange for a specialist, but he also had me move to a private room and hired a caregiver, away from Julian. I hadn't even had a chance to breathe a sigh of relief when my best friend, who was on a business trip abroad, sent me a video. In the video, Julian was having dinner with a few of his friends. One of them, named Ethan, mentioned the day of the car accident when I had called them. "Julian, Evelyn called all of us last week. None of us answered. How's that for being a good friend?" Huh. What good would it have done if we had answered? It would have been the same as before, her asking us to put in a good word for her with Julian. But this time, she was different from all the other times. To think she could hold out for 3 years before coming to find you. Is she planning something big? She's only got those little tricks. Nothing new. Besides, aren't you preparing for a wedding? Julian. She's probably back to ruin it. Julian sat in the corner, the flickering light hiding his true expression. I only heard him say indifferently, "You guys keep an eye on Evelyn for me. I've been preparing for the wedding for a long time. I don't want Maya to be disappointed." The crowd started to jeer. Ooh, ooh, getting all protective now. I wonder who was the one who said he would never get married. Exactly. He shut down all of Evelyn's hopes with one sentence. "I'm a non-believer in marriage. If she finds out you're planning a wedding, she's probably going to throw another fit." The video ended there. Only then did I know that after I was sent to the hospital and was unconscious, the nurse, trying to contact my family, had called everyone in my contact list. In the end, she had only managed to reach Christian. So, it wasn't that the others' phones were unreachable. They had deliberately not answered. My best friend sent me a string of voice messages, all of them cursing Julian and his friends for being heartless. She was so indignant, as if she was about to seek justice for me. Back then, he even used the excuse of being a non-believer in marriage to get rid of you. "I was so worried about you, Scarlett," I said. "I'm getting married too." "What?" Scarlett's shocked voice came from the other end of the phone. "You're getting married. Wait, who are you marrying? You didn't just get married out of spite, did you?" I chuckled. "It's not out of impulse. It's a long story. I'll tell you when you get back." "All right, so who's the guy?" After a moment of thought, I said. Christian Sheen. Julian's uncle. Scarlett suddenly fell silent. A long time passed without a sound from the other end of the phone. Just as I thought she had hung up, she burst out laughing. Oh my God. So Julian has to call you. Auntie. No. I have to share this good news with them. She hung up and sent a message in the group chat. Evelyn is getting married. Everyone is invited to the wedding. One sentence. And all hell broke loose. Ethan was the first to reply. Married. She doesn't think Julian's wedding is for her. Does she? I told you she was planning something big. Here it is. 3 years. And no improvement at all. I thought she'd have some new tricks up her sleeve. This is even worse than her old crying and making. Scene routine. Scarlett sent a rolling eyes emoji. Believe it or not, don't take yourselves so seriously. It'll be hilarious when you're the ones left looking foolish. At the end, she sent a meaningful emoji. She had made her point and didn't say another word, no matter how much they asked. I was amused by her. I exited the group chat. A new message came in. Little Lynn will pick you up from the hospital tomorrow. I replied. Okay. The other end showed typing for a long time, but no message was sent. I thought for a moment and typed. Miss you. Come back soon. The other end stopped typing. After a long time, a single okay came through. The old Sheen family mansion was just as I remembered. I followed the familiar path to the room I used to live in. Just as I was about to reach the door to the room next door suddenly opened. Maya appeared before me without warning. She let out a short, Miss Evelyn. I nodded, my gaze falling on the red object in her hand. Even though she quickly hid it behind her back, I could still clearly see the striking characters on it. Invitation. And the prominent character for double happiness. After a brief silence, I continued walking towards my room. Suddenly, Julian's lazy voice came from behind me. What's all the fuss about? What did you see? Maya said in a low voice. Miss Evelyn is here. The next second, I felt a hot gaze on my back. Living under the same roof, it was rude not to greet each other. I turned and gave him a faint nod. A dark glint flashed in the man's clear eyes, and his voice was deep. What are you doing back here? I actually didn't want to come back to the old mansion, because Julian had been living here all these years. It would be inconvenient to see him all the time. But Christian had said that since I had just been discharged from the hospital, he didn't feel at ease with me living alone. At least here, a familiar nanny could take care of me. Just as I was about to explain, Maya tugged at his sleeve. Did you forget, Julian? Miss Evelyn has lived here since she was a child. Of course she would come home when she's back. Her tone was playful, yet flawless. Julian looked down at her. You don't mind? Maya hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Julian put his arm around her and pulled her into his embrace. From now on, you are the mistress of this house. You don't have to say things you don't mean. Maya looked horrified. Julian, don't say that. What? You don't want to marry me? Of course not. But Miss Evelyn has lived here since she was a child. Julian's lips curled into a sneer. Just an outsider. Maya looked at me in horror. Miss Evelyn. He didn't mean that. He's just drunk. You are. Hey, Julian. What are you doing? Julian bent down, picked Maya up, and walked towards the room. To teach you a lesson. Bang. The door was kicked shut, cutting off all sound. I slowly averted my gaze, turned, and went back to my room, dialing an overseas number. Christian's clear, magnetic voice came from the other end. What's wrong? I pursed my lips. Can I move into your room? The sound of pages turning on the other end stopped, leaving only a very faint breathing sound. My hand holding the phone tightened. My heart was in my throat, afraid he would say no. But the next second, he said, okay. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't tell him it was because Julian and Maya were here too. Have you confirmed your return date? Christian was expanding the overseas market and had been gone for 3 months. Last time I had the car accident, he had wanted to rush back, but I had stopped him. I had lied and told him my injuries weren't serious, but I knew that Assistant Lynn must have reported my condition to him truthfully. It should be in the next few days. His voice was reassuring. Okay, I'll wait for you. After hanging up, I packed some important items and moved them to the large bedroom on the 3rd floor. By the time I was done, it was completely dark. I took a shower, changed, and went downstairs for dinner. But I stopped at the landing of the second floor. Julian was leaning against the railing, smoking a cigarette. He was shirtless, his body covered in fresh, crisscrossing scratches, looking as lazy as a well-fed leopard strolling on the savannah. Hearing my footsteps, he turned his head and his face instantly darkened. "Who let you on the third floor?" I ignored him and continued down the stairs. He followed me in a few strides and grabbed my wrist. "I'm talking to you." I frowned and shook off his hand, taking 2 steps back in disgust. "If you have something to say, say it. Don't touch me. It'll be hard to explain if someone sees." Julian seemed surprised by my reaction. He stared at me, as if trying to see through me. I was hungry and didn't want to get into a long argument with him. I was about to walk around him and continue down the stairs, but he grabbed my wrist again and pulled me in front of him. As I got closer, all I could see were the marks of their intimacy. In that instant, my stomach churned violently. I turned and retched, but nothing came out. Just as I had recovered from the nausea, I heard Julian press on. "Who let you on the third floor? Don't you know my uncle hates it when people go into his room?" I straightened up and took a deep breath to suppress the overwhelming feeling. He said I could let go. I struggled hard, but I couldn't move him an inch. He sneered. "Everyone knows my uncle is a famous celibate. If you're going to lie, at least make it believable. Believe it or not." I pulled hard and broke free from his grasp, but the force was too great, and it pulled on the wound on my shoulder. Pain instantly spread through my body, but afraid of being caught by him again, I had to clutch my shoulder and quickly go downstairs. The meal back at the Chin family home was tasteless. As soon as I sat down at the dining table, Julian came in with Maya. He sat across from me, his arms crossed, not eating, just staring at me with a dark expression. The atmosphere at the table was so tense it was hard to breathe. I took a few bites and put down my chopsticks, ready to leave. Julian suddenly spoke. "You should move out tomorrow." I paused, looking at him in disbelief. His expression was unchanged. "I'll have someone find a place for you." For some reason, I wanted to laugh. He still didn't believe me. He was afraid I would ruin his wedding, so he wouldn't even let me stay at home. But, Julian, when Grandma Chin brought me back, she said this was my home. She said it when she was dying. Not just you, but everyone heard her. Julian's face darkened. "You're going to freeload off the Chin family." I didn't say anything. His dark eyes turned completely cold. "Evelyn, is there any point in clinging on like this? After 3 years." He still thought I was clinging to him. Of course. Who would believe someone who had once used extreme measures to force a marriage? 3 years ago, after he rejected my proposal, my mental state was very poor for a long time. Everyone in our circle said I had gone mad for him. So anyone would think that I had returned to the Chin family this time to get back with him. But this time, it really wasn't for him. I forced a smile. "Whether you believe it or not, I came back this time because, don't come to Mai and Maya's wedding. I don't want any mishaps." He cut me off, clearly out of patience. The words were on the tip of my tongue, but I swallowed them all. Okay. I went upstairs, packed my things, and called Assistant Lynn to pick me up. When I came downstairs, Julian and Maya were gone. I carried my simple luggage out and walked along the asphalt road towards the main gate. After a short walk, a car pulled up beside me. The window rolled down, revealing Julian's face. "Get in." I subtly stepped back. "No, thank you." He acted as if he hadn't heard. "It's hard to get a cab here. I'll give you a ride." I stared at him. That hot and cold feeling returned. He was so good at this. Giving a slap and then a candy. He had just kicked me out of the house, and now he was acting as if he was concerned for me. I suddenly couldn't understand him anymore. "Evelyn." Julian looked at me. His deep, reserved phoenix eyes gave me the illusion that he was looking at me with deep affection. I averted my gaze and forced a faint smile. "I don't want to trouble you. My fiancé has sent someone to pick me up." The night wind blew, lifting the hem of my skirt. In the infinite silence, Julian spoke lazily. "So you've even come up with a fiancé. Are you going to say you're getting married next?" I nodded. When Christian came back, we really did need to put the wedding on the agenda. Julian looked at me, silent. After a long time, he finally said, "Evelyn, if you want to get back together, you need to have the right attitude. A goading strategy won't work. even though I had known he saw me this way. Hearing it from his own mouth still made my heart ache. In your eyes, I'm not worthy of anyone else's love. Am I? His eyes darkened. But he just looked at me in silence. Actually, I couldn't blame him for thinking that way. From the age of 8 to 28, for 20 years, my life had revolved around him. Anyone would think I couldn't live without him, let alone start a new relationship in just 3 years. But facts are facts, and no one can deny them. Miss Evelyn. Assistant Lin ran over. Mr. Sheen said that since your injuries have not yet healed, you should stay at home and wait for him. Don't go out. I was in a difficult position. Does he know there's someone in the house who can't stand me? Assistant Lin glanced quickly at Julian. Mr. Sheen also said that if someone doesn't want to see you, then they can get out. Assistant Lin, Julian roared, got out of the car, and walked over to us. He stared at me with a dark expression. So this is what you meant when you said your fiancé sent someone to pick you up. Evelyn, you could have gotten involved with anyone, but you had to go after my uncle. If you had said your fiancé was someone else, I would have believed you. But to say your fiancé is my celibate uncle, isn't that going too far? Before I could speak, he turned to Assistant Lin. You're using a company car for personal use. Aren't you afraid my uncle will find out? Assistant Lin corrected him. Mr. Sheen asked me to come. Julian was about to say something else, but I got into Christian's car. Assistant Lin, let's go back. In the middle of the night, as I was sleeping soundly, I felt the space beside me dip. Years of alertness made me sit up instantly. Who's there? It's me. I turned on the bedside lamp. A handsome face, as if carved by a master, came into view. His exquisite features were captivating, but his brow was sharp and cold. His crimson lips were pressed tightly together, as if he were holding something back. I stared at him blankly, murmuring, "Am I dreaming?" Click. The other lamp was turned on, fully revealing Christian's clear outline. So real. Why are you back? I didn't realize until I spoke that my voice was thick with a nasal tone, like a child who had been bullied outside and finally saw a parent who would stand up for them. The sense of grievance was uncontrollable. The man wrapped his arm around my waist and pulled me into his embrace. I snuggled into his chest and wrapped my arms around his muscular waist. I'll announce our wedding tomorrow. His voice was non-negotiable. No. I tilted my head up to look at him. We agreed to talk about marriage after you've established the overseas market. He gave a half smile. Why do you think I'm here? I was both surprised and happy. So you're not leaving again this time? No. But I'll be busy for a while. I nodded obediently in his arms. You do your thing. I won't bother you. You're already bothering me. I looked up in confusion. The next second, he cupped my chin and kissed me. The man's body heat radiated through the thin fabric of my clothes, making my whole body tremble uncontrollably. When he placed me on the large bed, I nervously grabbed his shirt. I just got out of the hospital. I'll be gentle. And he was. The whole time, he made sure I had a good experience. When I woke up the next day, the space beside me was empty. I got up, got ready, and went downstairs for breakfast. To my surprise, Julian was still at home at this hour. He was sitting at the dining table, reading a newspaper. His breakfast was untouched. In the 20+ years I had known him, this was the first time I had seen him read a newspaper. Suddenly, he slammed the newspaper down on the table. Evelyn, you're really something. I looked up, bewildered. What are you talking about? He stared at my neck with a sinister gaze. You think that by making those marks, I'll believe you're with my uncle? Evelyn, if you want to get back together, you need to use your brain. It's a good thing my uncle isn't home, or his reputation would have been ruined by you. I subconsciously covered my neck. I had seen the marks when I was washing up earlier. Christian had made them. I had thought no one would notice such details, so I hadn't covered them up. I never thought Julian would use them against me. I put down my chopsticks. He came back last night. Didn't you know? Julian sneered. He came back. How would I not know? I looked at the person across the table and suddenly realized that no matter what I said, he wouldn't believe me. So I stopped talking and picked up my chopsticks to continue eating breakfast. Just as I was about to reach for a pastry, the plate was suddenly moved away. I looked up to meet Julian's dark gaze. In that moment, I couldn't take it anymore. Julian, what are you trying to do? His eyes were so cold they could have frozen a person. Isn't this what you wanted? To get back together? Begging for a reconciliation doesn't work by doing these things. He still thought I was clinging to him. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Julian. I'm getting married to Christian. He looked at me with a blank expression, his eyes showing no emotion. I know you don't want to believe it, but it's the truth. You'll find out in a few days. With that, I stood up to leave. But just as I had taken 2 steps, my wrist was grabbed. Julian's extremely restrained voice came from behind. Evelyn, if you're pursuing someone, you need to have the right attitude. If you continue like this, we're really over. I couldn't believe it. Weren't we over 3 years ago? I pulled my hand away. We're both getting married. Let's not say things like that anymore. I turned my head and my eyes met Maya's, who was standing at the turn of the stairs. Her eyes were red. I don't know how long she had been standing there, or how much she had heard. I don't know how Julian managed to coax Maya, but by the time I got home that evening, the 2 of them were back to their loving selves. They were preparing the wedding invitation list. Maya greeted me warmly. Miss Evelyn, I'm not very familiar with these people. Can you come and help me? I politely declined. I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with them either. I turned and went upstairs. As I reached the 2nd floor landing, I heard Maya exclaim, Julian, I think we forgot to invite Miss Evelyn. Julian's voice was very low. I couldn't hear what he said. Then, I heard Maya say, why don't we wait for your uncle to come back and ask for his opinion? This time, I heard what Julian said. He said, my uncle might not even make it back for the wedding. You want to wait for him? Maya. Huh. But the nanny said he came back last night. Julian's movements froze. He came back. Yes. He stayed here last night and left early this morning. Didn't the nanny tell you? My footsteps paused. I subconsciously looked at Julian. The tall man's face instantly turned pale. His eyes filled with disbelief. What did you say? Maya didn't notice his strange behavior and repeated what she had said. Julian was like he had been petrified, frozen in one position. Maya finally noticed something was wrong and asked him, what's wrong? Julian didn't answer, still maintaining his previous posture. I never thought Julian would find out about me and Christian from Maya. Seeing his reaction, he must have believed her. At this point, whether he believed me or not was no longer important. I averted my gaze and continued up the stairs. Just as I reached the 3rd floor, a rush of footsteps came from behind. Before I could react, a strong force pulled me into the attic that led to the rooftop. The door was locked. In the dark space, Julian gripped my wrist. His grip so tight it felt like he would break it. He squeezed out a few words through his teeth. Well done, Evelyn. You're really something. As he spoke, his grip tightened. I frowned in pain. I told you. You just didn't believe me. Good. Very good. He gritted his teeth. To get revenge on me, you actually went and seduced my uncle. Although he was Julian's uncle, he was only 4 years older. A man in his 30s. Well maintained. You couldn't tell the age difference. When I came to the Chin family, Christian had already gone abroad. For over 10 years. He had only come back for holidays and wouldn't stay for long. It wasn't until Grandma Chin passed away a few years ago that he returned to the country to settle down. A man in his prime. Christian was completely focused on his work and had no interest in romance. No wonder Julian thought I was the one who had made the first move. Seeing I remained silent, Julian pushed me against the wall with a vengeance. Don't you just want to marry into the Chin family? Fine. I'll marry you. Just don't go and ruin my uncle. For a moment, I thought I had misheard. Are you insane? Not to mention that his wedding plans with Maya were already set. Even if you were single now, I would never go back. But Julian just sneered. Don't you want to marry me? Why are you unhappy now that you've gotten your wish? Just as I was about to speak, Maya's voice came from outside the door. Julian, are you in there? Your uncle is back. He wants you to go to the study. Julian didn't move. I tried to pull my hand away, but I couldn't move him an inch. Just as I was about to shout, Julian suddenly let go of me without warning, opened the door, and strode away. I stood in the corner, composing myself. It wasn't until his footsteps had faded that I slowly came out of the attic. Miss Evelyn. Maya came out from the corner. Can you please leave the Chin family? To be honest, Maya had always been subservient in my presence. I had never seen her so sharp. But the Maya before me now had a sharp gaze, a calm expression, a completely different person from before. She walked up to me. Since you came back, his mind hasn't been on me. Miss Evelyn, you should know better than anyone what Julian is like when he doesn't love someone. Right. You've been gone for 3 years. Why can't you just let me have him? I looked at her deeply. It must be tiring to pretend like this. Even if you get together, can you guarantee he'll never find out your true colors? That's none of your business. You just need to move out and stay out of his sight. And I can guarantee he'll be devoted to me. For some reason, I suddenly wanted to laugh. In fact, I did. Maya looked at me warily. What are you laughing at? I didn't answer her. Just said, no one is fighting with you. I'll be moving out in a few days, not wanting to chat any further. I walked past her and went into the master bedroom. As I closed the door, I saw Maya staring at my door with a dark expression, lost in thought. Not long after I returned to my room, Christian came back. His brow was tinged with weariness. My brother and sister-in-law can't make it back. They want me to be Julian's witness. The Chin family only had Julian's father and Christian. No other siblings. Julian's parents had fought in the business world for decades. In recent years, they had suddenly reconciled and were traveling the world together. In Julian's words, they were 2 absentee parents. They had left both Julian and the company to Christian. I nodded. After a moment's hesitation, I told him what had happened with Julian and Maya. Before I could even finish, Christian's eyes flashed with a murderous coldness. I stopped. He pursed his lips into a cold arc. Continue. I glanced at him. How was I supposed to continue? The tall man sat on the single sofa. His innate nobility and experience as a superior made him as steady as a mountain. Even when he was angry, I stared at him. He didn't move. Are you angry? I asked tentatively. The man's face was incredibly aloof and noble. I walked over to him and gently poked his hard chest. Are you really angry? The man's handsome face was carved with a cold hardness. His dark eyes were deep and cold. He glanced at my wrist. The next second, he suddenly grabbed my wrist and looked at the red mark from Julian's grip with a sinister expression. Did he do this? Afraid he would misunderstand. I explained. He's very strong. I couldn't break free. So it ended up like this. Huh. He let go of me and was about to turn and leave. I quickly grabbed him. Can we move out tomorrow? Christian paused. We'll move out now. The commotion of moving was a bit loud and woke up the rest of the household. Julian was the first to come out of his room. He was casually wrapped in a bathrobe, revealing his well-defined muscles. But there were many fresh red marks on them. I was pulling a suitcase, and our eyes met. The next second, Julian's face changed dramatically. He rushed down the stairs to me. It's so late. Where are you going? Home. Julian frowned. Why can't you leave at a normal time? Why do you have to leave in the middle of the night? Do you have a problem with that? From behind, Christian walked over slowly. He stopped in front of Julian, exuding a natural authority. Julian had always been a little afraid of him, but at this moment, he couldn't be bothered. Uncle, it's so late. Are you kicking her out? Who said I'm kicking her out? Christian pulled my hand in front of him and played with it nonchalantly. Your auntie has been home for less than an hour, and her hand is already like this. Do you think I can feel at ease letting her continue to live here? I don't know if it was out of guilt or because of those 2 words. But Julian's face changed several times. But Christian acted as if he hadn't seen it and continued. Your auntie and I won't be staying here anymore. You 2 be safe. With that, without even a glance at the ashen-faced Julian, he put his arm around me and walked out. In the car, Christian's expression had softened a lot. I scooted closer to him and bit my lip. Christian. He didn't look up. Speak. Should we get the certificate? He suddenly looked over, something flashing in his deep eyes. All right. I'm free tomorrow morning. Although he tried his best to control it, I could still hear a slight tremor in his voice. This was the first time I had ever seen him so excited. The Christian I knew had always been composed, able to handle any situation with a calm and collected demeanor. Actually, I didn't have a deep impression of him when I was young. When he returned to the country, I was already with Julian. I had always maintained a certain distance from this uncle of Julian's, until the day I decided to leave Julian. As I was leaving the university, it suddenly started to pour rain. I didn't have an umbrella, and I had lost my phone. I walked along the road home for a long long time. And finally, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I squatted on the side of the road and sobbed. I don't know how long I cried, but a pair of high-end business leather shoes appeared before me. It was Christian. He pulled me into his car and handed me a dry towel. I thanked him with red, swollen eyes. As I dried my hair, I couldn't help but think of Julian and the milk tea. I couldn't hold it in and buried my face in the towel, crying silently. You like him that much? Christian's rich voice gave me the strange impression that he was jealous. I stopped and nodded, sobbing. From the age of 8 to 28, Julian had been with me through my entire youth. To completely let him go was not something that could be done overnight. Christian took the towel from me and gently dried my hair. Perhaps it was the comfortable temperature in the car, or perhaps it was because I had just been in the rain. My head lolled in his hands. And finally, I fell asleep on his lap. When I woke up, I was at his place. The man who was always in a suit had changed into simple home clothes, which made him seem less distant. That day, he chatted with me for a long time. Finally, he asked me, I'm going to the south to inspect a project. Do you want to come with me? I thought of the praises for Christian in our circle. They said that if you could stay by his side for 3 to 5 years, you could go out and start your own business. So I asked, can I stay with you all the time? He showed a rare expression of confusion. I explained, can I be your assistant? A personal assistant is fine too. He agreed almost without hesitation. I followed him south and we worked together for a year. When he returned to headquarters, he left me in the south. During this time, we stayed in touch every day. At first, he required me to give him a simple summary every day. Gradually, I would share my life with him. He wasn't a man of many words, but he would also share interesting things with me. And so, we slowly got together. If my feelings for Julian were passionate and impulsive, then my feelings for Christian were a slow, burning, intellectual love. With him, I always felt at ease. The next morning, Christian took me to the Civil Affairs Bureau. After going through the procedures, I held the marriage certificate in a daze. Christian took the certificate from me. You won't be using this. I'll keep it. I didn't think much of it until I got back to the office and received a call from Scarlett. Oh my God. Did you know your husband just blew up the entire social circle? What? I was completely lost. His social media. Christian, who never posts anything, just posted your marriage certificate. I opened my social media and saw that he had indeed posted, but it was just a photo of the marriage certificate, without a single word, just like his usual style. Let me tell you, Julian was just trying on wedding dresses with Maya. When he saw your marriage certificate, he just left her there and ran off. I bet he's on his way to find you. Don't you dare give him a nice face. Make him call you Auntie. Just as Scarlett's words faded, there was a sudden commotion outside the door. Before I could react, Julian burst in, locked the door, and strode over to me. You really married him? I nodded faintly. Yes. Julian's eyes instantly reddened. Evelyn, he's my uncle. Do you have to marry into the Cheen family? But before I could answer, he softened his tone. Since you want to marry into the Cheen family, why can't you marry me? I didn't know how to express my feelings at that moment. I had once wanted to marry him so badly, but he had rejected me time and time again, and even fallen for someone else. Now that he was willing to marry me, I no longer wanted to. Just as I was about to speak, Christian's voice came from behind. What are you doing now? Julian glared at him, his tone full of hostility. You stole your own nephew's woman. What kind of man are you? His words were very harsh. But Christian, for once, did not retort. Instead, he took out a document that had been prepared in advance and handed it to him. Take a look. What? Julian took it with a frown. I also looked over. It was an adoption certificate. The adoptive parents were Julian's parents. In an instant, all the color drained from Julian's face. No. Impossible. How could this be? I looked at Christian, hoping for an explanation. He stood behind me. Your aunt didn't want to have children, so your uncle adopted you. No. Impossible. Julian refused to believe it. You're just making up this ridiculous lie to protect your own reputation. Then, he murmured, how could I not be their child? Then, he started to laugh at himself. No wonder they wouldn't even come back for my wedding. He suddenly looked at Christian. So you've been watching me make a fool of myself all this time, right? Christian glanced at him lazily. If you hadn't insisted on making a scene, you would have never known about this. That day, Julian left in a daze, as if he had been completely defeated. I asked Christian why he had chosen to tell him the truth at that time. Christian said nonchalantly, "He was saying outside that I stole my own nephew's woman. He was also trying to steal you from me." That night, when Scarlett and I were celebrating, Maya burst in. She knelt before me, crying her eyes out. "Miss Evelyn, I can't find Julian. Can you please tell me where he is?" Scarlett cursed at her. "Are you sick? You can't even keep track of your own boyfriend. And you're asking us to find him for you. Do we owe you something?" Maya didn't listen to Scarlett at all. "Miss Evelyn, Julian wants to break up with me. He also said he's leaving the Cheen family." "What happened?" "He was fine when he left this morning. Why did he want to leave the Cheen family after seeing you?" "What happened?" I frowned. "If he's missing, you should go to the police. It's no use asking me." "But, Maya, you don't have to pretend with me. Everyone in our circle knows that Julian is not the Cheen family's biological child. If you really like him, go find him." "It's no use asking me." Maya was about to say something else, but she was taken away by the security guard Scarlett had called. Scarlett sighed. She brought this upon herself. "I don't feel any sympathy for Julian at all, but the Cheen family didn't treat him badly. With his talent, he can make a living anywhere. He won't be too badly off." Yes, life is unpredictable. No one expected it to turn out this way. But if everything went as planned, it wouldn't be called life.